Hello everybody, here with another part looking at Pokemon Xenoverse's strange little decks. Yeah, there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of information for them, at least where I'm recording right now, but they have been some very simple but well executed designs, so I'm excited to look at the rest of this. Starting with where we were off last time, Noneville, Ghost Fairy. So a nun is clearly the influence, and it's going to be hard to make a dynamic design using a nun's attire, seeing how it's so basic with a black and white robe. And whether or not you want to include Christian imagery, you might be able to get a necklace in there, but otherwise, it's a very bland wardrobe, for a reason. And Noneville, maybe evil? I don't know, but it seems a little mischievous. Having a tongue that sticks out, little cheek bulbs, and no eyes. Interesting choice, but I think it does make it look super adorable. Or you can see it as really wide eyes right next to its mouth. I kind of like that better. But overall, very simple. Using the fabric connection in the real world, making it look like a ghostly apparition, and having the nun hood float up in a way, kind of giving it a supernatural look. I can see how it's Ghost Fairy. And even just using the nun as an inspiration, I can kind of see where fairy would come from. Now, this seems to almost guarantee a secondary type, or a second evolution. Westeria. Okay, so making that nun attire branch out more into a triangular shape, covering what the body actually looks like. It still looks like an apparition floating off the ground and having floating aspects to its design. Large eyeshadow drooping down. Yeah, it kind of looks ghostly. But again, pink everywhere. This time you do have a necklace, not reminiscent of a cross per se, but then also having two sections of a cross on this design, having a triangular one up front and then I guess just the bottom half of the cross down below the neck. That might be the inspiration there. Maybe it's supposed to be like a North Star or something. Otherwise, I mean, Ghost Fairy still works out lovely. In fact, I might guess Ghost Psychic, almost holding a crystal ball floating around. This one's giving me that vibes more so. Blingrim. Someone like Stripes? Steel poison I get because of all the bright colors. Like the orange and the yellow really pop from this design. The orange especially. The steel, I guess, it's got these claws that look metallic. Its body goes into a point that looks metallic. And its whole body has a gray sheen, though I wouldn't expect that to be steel itself. It looks like an alien in its UFO. I like the shape and the inspirations, seemingly, but I don't like the blue stripes randomly spewing about. I think I would have made it a more realized pattern, like having the cheek fluff have those rings like on the left side here. And its crescent eyes and jagged teeth look pretty cool. And the one orange tooth I really like, it's just those blue stripes that don't jive well with me, but maybe I'm missing some inspiration here. Bling Grudge. Steel poison again, but clearly an evolution. So you've got rivets between the helmets, so yeah, I completely understand where this is steel. The blue has taken a much more lively appearance. More like a stand-in for diamonds on a diamond-tipped drill. It looks less like a UFO and more of a drill this time, which is pretty interesting. The one orange tooth seems to have turned golden, along with a bright yellow shining light reminiscent of a miner's hat. And the claws, they look very threatening, but also like they could be used to dig. I also love the addition of little tiny feet that it barely uses. I dig this. I dig this more. It has a more uniform pattern, which I can get behind. Hikilu. Normal ice. Ooh. Now, I don't think ice immediately, but with a blue tail, it helps. So I think, obviously, I'd go for electric first because of all the spikes. However, the tail would make me think flying, because it's almost reminiscent of a cloud or a wing. But because it's so fluffy as it is, and then the random assertion of a blue object, maybe I could see ice. It's almost like a winter fox with a light coat to try and blend in, but this one doesn't blend in so well, being so bright yellow, unless it's supposed to be yellow snow. Oh dear. But I'm a big sucker for any sort of foxish designs, so it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Oh, Milamute. I like how it changed it up. Yes, it looks older, but then there is a shoulder design of that same wing pattern that's on the tail. Flowing mane to make it look more regal, more powerful. Its eyebrows, I don't remember looking at it. It didn't have eyebrows before. I like the little dips that it has for eyebrows. Kind of reminds me of a Shiba. The, I guess, red eyeliner underneath the eyes is strange, but I'm not disliking it. It adds a nice bit of very saturated color in an otherwise fairly desaturated design. Like, the yellow could be more saturated. I don't know, it brings a focus to the blue eye. Makes you go to the face first with all the one-off colors. Overall, it looks very strong. Kidun? Oh! So it's one of those wind sails, but a fish in a Pokemon. I probably would have guessed fish first, so I'd be surprised if it wasn't water. But otherwise, it does look like flying. It doesn't strike me as something that would live underwater, but the ribbons in the back, it doesn't have much in the way of fins except for the two at the very beginning, or at the very front. I could see this being flying for sure. The coloration's very strange for that typing, but it is much appreciated. And it works if it's supposed to be one of those windsocks. It doesn't need to follow any specific coloration. Hantian. So the evolution, clearly. It definitely emphasized the design. It doesn't share much if... I guess maybe yellow would be the only color that it shares. Oh, and it's dragon, not dragon wind or anything. It reminds me of... there's a Chinese festival that has a dancing dragon where people just control bits of the dragon going up and down, giving it a dragon-like movement as it goes through the parade. It reminds me of one of those, especially with the frills in the neck. But the neck, or the face, is very thin in comparison. I like how it dragged the design decisions from the previous evolution, like that trailing body and the ribbon tail, and kept, like, stars. I think the other one had stars. No, it had circles. But it did give this one more pronounced fins, especially one on its back, and a much more characteristic face. It is very strange. Its nostrils are bigger than its eyes. And for anything in an anime, having it be bigger than its eyes is very strange. Now, I cannot say anything about saturation on this one. Pretty much everything looks saturated, except maybe the red. But such vibrant colors does bring to mind a festival sort of scenario. There was a Meowth that was... okay. So here we have Beerus. Dewion Meowth. It looks sickly. So it's pure psychic, which for Meowth, it's an easy one to go to because of the strange gold on its forehead for no explicit reason. Giving it more of the hairless cat look, I kind of like. It's got that scrunchy face, got emphasis around the eyes, the very sharp ears, and that same skin tone of a hairless cat. And then the green eyes really bounce well off of the magenta in its ears, tail, and tips of the feet. That and the yellow really stand out with everything in the design. Again, bringing your focus to the giant head. And then going down and looking at the rest of the design. Persage. Okay, so we went from Beerus to Bibbidi. A very lanky body. It took the magenta and made it more of a distinct feature and pattern on Persage. interesting. Giving it a very bulbous and wrinkly head can help it look like a mystic or sage. It almost looks like it put a plate on its forehead and colored it like it was a diamond. That's kind of sad. But otherwise, it just looks like an older version of the Meowth. That crystal ball is interesting, though. Maybe you have to give that to evolve it. Coin? A rich man pig. Hello, everyone. Meet the capitalist pig. I guess. But taking a piggy bank and making it a Pokemon, just a well-dressed Pokemon, it works. Its body is in the shape of a coin, too, so it's fat. I have no idea what's happening with its ears. None whatsoever. Maybe it's got like a bowl cut. I don't know. A bowl cut ears and then the suave hair. Golden nails. A jacket. I mean, what else can I say about this? This is a round pig. Beefle? This looks like a bike helmet. But an adorable one. So bug fighting. It's bright red, but I don't see much of fighting. It's got a horn, which maybe it could be. But the inspiration being seemingly a bicycle helmet doesn't convey fighting to me at all. Maybe it's supposed to be a wrestling helmet? I think that'd be slightly different. But I absolutely love the idea of the cliche Pokemon trainer that keeps a small Pokemon on its head and it just being a helmet. I love that to death. The face is more adorable than I would have thought, giving it a dog-like snout and mouth and super bright yellow eyes. This works well for me. Like the very rounded appearance, not exactly a circle like the last one. Its head being more... It has a unique feature of that horn, which I think we'll get into in the next evolution. Okay, no. Punch bug? Okay, being a punch bag, I can see this. I can see this being fighting way more. And this is an interesting way to take the cocoon evolution and making it into something real life that kind of resembles a cocoon. I'm a fan. I'm a real fan of this. It's a little strange that the face is on the front part of the diaper, effectively. But then you got the hiragana making a face on the very front. I absolutely love it. So, what's the next one gonna be? Its final evolution. So it really is a sumo wrestler. Hercules? I have no... Hercules. That's a weird one to say. But a very strong looking bug. Absolutely bug fighting. It does finish off the crest that was hinted at the very beginning. It's very rotund like the last one, with a similar body proportion. Let me take a look more at the first one. A helmet is a big emphasis, much like the first one's callback. The color scheme has stayed consistent, and only added that final blue at the very end to help distinct this final evolution from the previous two. Overall, I think this is a great bug line. Chigami? Chibi origami? Is that the inspiration here? It looks very fairy-like, and I don't understand the big nose, but it's very adorable, and keeping with just a black and white design, that's going to be very hard to convey any sort of typing, but the big wings help it stand out as fairy. And being made of circles makes it look kind of weak and frail, along with the big wings. Yeah, I think that does convey fairy. And then if you're going to have a nose, having it be the same shape as the wings to bring the design more together, it's interesting. Ooh! Grudako. I don't understand the pun here, but that looks like a fantastic crane. A very regal one, and I love the coloration in the eyes. Having the design be more than just the plain white, adding in some red, so a very stark white and red is interesting. And it makes it so that the eyes aren't the only color that you see. You start from the body and go up to the eyes, because there's so much red. I completely understand fairy here, because it's continuing off of the same design. It looks frail, it has wings, and could could conceivably be hidden away in a forest. I don't get steel. This is a very paper aesthetic. Maybe if there were rivets or welds or something around here, I could see it being made out of steel. But I don't see that, and I can only think of this thing being made out of paper. Sabolt. Electric Dark. Okay. Cries in Luxray. But an interesting design, a Celebi head shape with like anime deuteragonist hairstyle, covering everything but the eyes. Huge widow's peak. It's very Vegeta. I mean, it's yellow and black. How could it not represent Electric Dark? Oh, but its little claws look like the American plug that has no ground. That's an interesting little addition. And I guess the feet would be as well. Versus Sabolt's Terrarian form. And making the black become a storm cloud. Electric spikes coming out of it, and an armored face. That's an interesting one. Its sclera being black, kind of blending in so that you see the face, but don't recognize it so much at the very beginning. Interesting little change up. So if it has... Oh! This one always changes up the coloration. It has Bakugo hair everywhere, so it's very spiky. It looks like it's filled to the brim with static electricity, so there's your electric. And it's covered in black, and a lot of its spikes are covered in black. I can absolutely see a dark typing. It's interesting how the design goes with a pink for its ears, nose, and stripes along its limbs. It's not often that we see like a black and pink color scheme in Pokemon. It's a very unique design, and just the coloration by itself is going to set Sabolt X on its own. Even if it is just a beefy dog. Also, just real quick. Oh, there's only 3. Weird. These folds in the middle, that's a strange design choice, to have it have a texture for the neck. It's almost like those little stretchable sound toys. Gachi Gacho. Electric Ice. Okay. So it's blue and yellow. The yellow is very electric colored, but nothing about the shape signals electric. I would think that it was electric water purely because of the bulbous form, the bulbous shapes that comprise this creature. The head is just an ellipses. There is nothing different. Its cheek is exactly a circle. It's not stretched in any direction. It looks like its body's made up of bubbles. That being said, maybe you could argue it's wearing like a sweater and mittens. I'm just thinking about looking at this thing head on, where its nose is right dead center between its eyes. That'd be a little weird. It looks better in this side profile, but I have no idea how I would deal with that. I think I would lower the nose, but maybe that would look weird too. And then like the 3 almost feathers on its head that look so strange to me. If it's supposed to be like a rabbit, why does it have 3 ears or something? This has got to have another evolution. It doesn't. Okay. Hysteric. Like a beat, maybe. That's grass sound. Oh, what the heck is that thing from Harry Potter? There was a plant in Harry Potter. When you pulled it up out of the ground, it would cry in agony and basically cause everyone that could hear it to get a headache and have to cover the ears. This is exactly what I'm thinking of here, where it's so sad just to exist out of the ground that it cries and pulls out its own hair. But with grass sound, usually if a Pokemon just has its mouth open, I wouldn't think it would be sound. But you can tell that it's yelling because of how pained its eyes are. So you know that at least some vocals are coming out. And then you've got the story of like the Mandrake, which I think is more than just Harry Potter, but a screaming root. It's something in culture that you could wrap your head around. And it's vaguely human shape, which I think mandrakes are supposed to be. And to represent grass, it does just kind of look like a deformed beet and lots of green foliage on its head. Yeah, well, it seems like a plant to me. Westeria. Okay. So this one kind of looks like it's singing, almost to one of its flowers growing out of its head. And the leaves. That's a very strange design, but I absolutely love it to break up just a regular green leaf. Having red stems both straight through the leaf and curling up is a very strange way to give a leaf a pattern, but I absolutely love it. That and the same coloration is found throughout Wisteria's main body as kind of like stripes. It looks like it's very much relaxing, just singing its heart away, while the leaves are blocking it from the sun and absorbing the sun's rays, so I absolutely love this. Pepequeno. I have no idea what this is supposed to be other than a pepper, so I'm just going to go with that. It looks like a devious little guy. Maybe it either uses its peppers as a defense, or it grew kind of mad because of the spice of the pepper. That's my headcanon here. But you can tell that at its tail, it's got a very thin stem up to the pepper. And it's wearing like a pepper foliage as pants, while one could conceivably be covering its face. And looking a little bit devilish with the horns, or growths, forming the shape of horns on top. The little green sprouting above it is a good connection, bringing together the red and the green, along with red little dots on the pants. And then the body being a simple yellow, it's desaturated, kind of like that fighting Pokemon that we saw earlier. I think normal fighting. So that seems to be like a default skin tone for any Pokemon where the skin itself doesn't need to be any particular color. But the yellow here works well with the yellow, red, and green. Almost the Mexican flag. I mean, and grass fire, any pepper related anything, grass fire is going to work well with. In Scoville. So there was a different form Scoville that I looked at earlier, I guess. So this one, I like its tail a whole lot. Going from shades of green to shades of red. Absolutely love it. That is a very unique design choice that can help this stand out. The, again, very devilish red face. This time with short yellow mustache. Well, pencil mustache, I guess. And then having its whole body be a more saturated yellow, but its fists almost like fire coming from the fists, making it look like it could punch real well. I'm a big fan. Big fan. Again, it's using those default pepper colors as its palette, which I can totally get behind. Excalibur. Rock Fairy. Okay, I barely know anything about Excalibur. It looks alien. This looks like it's comprised of various oval stones and a rod of copper coming out of it. So the oval stones definitely convey rock. I'm not sure how I would say it conveys fairy, but the copper rod almost ends in a crown. I don't know. The crown is the only thing that maybe would be fairy in my eyes. To me, it could be psychic because of how strange the eyes and mouth are. With triangular eyes and a square mouth, it's a good change from the oval structure that it otherwise encompasses, but I have no idea what's going on at all here. See, it's like floating rocks. How is that not psychic? How's it fairy? So, floating rocks with different runes on them. All of them are the same black oval, but with green highlights. Green or gray highlights. Its mouth has become basically a mountain peak instead of a square. I do like the multicolored runes. It breaks up the very bland coloration of this design. It doesn't fit well together, but maybe you can see the colors coming together and forming something. And this is Noneville. Noneville. Again, I have no idea what the inspiration is here. Big floating rocks. And I'm thinking like Nordic runes, but I don't know any stories similar to that. Nope. Okay. little bit shorter. Wanted to get a few more episodes recorded, and this giving myself time to breathe before I record again is very helpful. So, thank you for watching. I hope it was fun. Some of these designs I had seen somewhere before, but the inspirations are mysterious here. There are a few that I didn't quite understand. Like Persage, I'm not entirely sure. Coin, I think that's a phrase in some Asian language. And then the Beefle being basically a bike helmet. Okay. This whole line, the Cadifle, the Excalibur. I feel like I'm missing something here. Maybe something in the original lore that isn't represented normally? It's a little hard to tell. With limited information, I can only get so far with looking at these designs. But they've stayed consistently simple, but well executed. So, aside from that, I shall see you again. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good night.